According to the text of the Torah, the first man was placed by God in a garden that abounded with everything. To eat, Adam, for instance, only had to extend his arm, pick a fruit of a tree to satisfy his hunger. God also gave him a life partner, Eve, Chava, to face loneliness, even more so, to have someone with whom to share experiences, with whom to face any problem that arises, before whom one can really show his true self and have a direct communication. In a way, then God had met the biological, emotional, social needs of man. Adam was in the Garden of Eden, a true Gan Eden in Hebrew. But God also told him that although he could eat of the fruit of all the trees in this garden, there was one tree in the garden whose fruit he could not eat. One really has a question. If it was so important not to eat from that fruit, why did God place that tree in the garden? Since Adam couldn't really eat from it, why tempt him? Why place it there altogether? And we know the story. Adam ate, and he was expelled from the Garden of Eden. We don't bear any fault because of that. No. We are born with a tabula rasa. Our soul is entirely clear. It depends on what we do, each and every one of us, because the Bible says that fathers don't die because of the sins of the sons, neither do sons die for the sins of their father. Each one dies for his own things. Now, we don't bear any kind of lesion because Adam ate from that tree. But on the other hand, we of course are no longer in the Garden of Eden. Maybe it was a test to place Adam in the Garden of Eden. Let's see what's going to happen to him. But apparently it didn't work out. Why did God then place that tree whose fruit Adam couldn't eat? Maybe he wanted to give him a very important lesson, impart a basic principle. You know, Adam, you were created in the image of God. What does that mean? According to many interpreters of the sacred text, it means that God had the ability to choose. He had given him the faculty of free will. Adam, unlike animals that react by instinct. Why is a dog faithful? Because that's his DNA. He is faithful to those that feed and care for him, period. Every dog reacts that way. If a dog doesn't react that way, there's something wrong with the dog. But this is part of his DNA. The ability to choose, on the other hand, that was given to man, can be the mother of negative and destructive attitudes also, because it coexists with certain characteristics that are governed by instinct. Man is partially an animal as well. So free will has to be controlled, because if you don't control this free will, if you don't have self-control, then the instinct is going to dominate you, and eventually you may become another animal. One of the functions of the Torah, of the law, is really to teach you self-control. For instance, according to Jewish law, there are certain animals that can be made kosher, but you have to undergo certain steps in order to eat meat. You have to have a shochet, which means a ritual slaughterer has to kill the animal in a certain way. Then you have to salt the meat. There are a number of steps that you have to take before you can eat the meat. Judaism doesn't have a negative attitude towards sex, but it teaches it has to be subject to certain rules. During the period of menstruation, you have to have abstention. What Judaism is trying to teach you is self-control. Don't be the slave of your passions. Don't react instinctively in front of any situation. You have freedom to choose. You can be a better man, you can be a builder, or you can be a destroyer. What are you going to choose in this world? What example are you going to set for your children and your families? How are you going to exercise the freedom of will that God gave you? Some psychologists say maybe man doesn't have freedom of will. But Judaism teaches yes. In other words, you're responsible for your actions. It's not that you're forced to do it. God gave you the ability to overcome situations, to overcome desires. And every time you practice self-control in a situation correctly, you become a better human being. And each time that you do it, you will really take a forward step in becoming a better, a more complete human being that was created in the image of God.